Most side hustle videos focus on quick cash, making as much money as you possibly can fast. And this video is going to be different. Today, I'm going to discuss the 3 best side hustles you can start in your 20s in order to learn about business. All of these side hustles that we're going to discuss got me better at so many important skills like negotiation, money management, sales, collaboration, product building, and more. And all this was crucial to my success in my career, eventually being able to command a high salary. And all of this stuff I had to go out and learn outside of my education, outside of my 9 to 5. And they taught me so many valuable lessons. These 3 made me smarter, not just richer, which is an important consideration because in your 20s, it's so important to learn these skills. Those who value learning almost equally as much as money in their 20s will be very well set up to thrive in your late 20s, your 30s, and beyond. And the best part about these is that you can do these outside of your normal schedule. They're pretty flexible. And sometimes the 9 to 5 is bad at teaching us these things, and we have to go and get that education ourselves. If you do these well, you'll be a weapon, and if it pays off, you'll have some other income streams in your life to protect you and set you up for the future. These are all streams I started and have some varying degree of success on in my life, so I'm going to talk about my experiences, my takeaways, my mistakes, and more. Let's dive right into it. So I don't know about you guys, but work and university don't always teach us everything we need, and it lacks in several areas depending on what you go into. Because sometimes you get into a job or you get into a degree where what you're learning is very kind of minimal and very boxed in. For example, I was a software engineer and I didn't always get to flex the business side of things, the sales, the closing a deal, holding people's attention, as my main job was building products. Now, obviously, there were some exceptions, like I had to negotiate with product teams or give demos and presentations, but most of my day was coding, building things, and meetings related to these things. Now let's talk about the opposite. If your job is primarily sales, for example, you have the opposite problem. You're getting the people experience, but not getting enough experience building the product, seeing the back end, thinking outside the box to make a solution. There's many people who feel boxed in at their job. Maybe it's not as dynamic as you'd like, or maybe you're a guy in school and you're only studying and you're not really going out of your way to learn business and people skills. This could haunt you because you need to learn this stuff. Starting these side hustles outside of your job could give you so many lessons outside of money. Since leaving my job, it's forced me to become better at things that I really didn't need to do at my 9 to 5, such as public speaking, sales, and it's just a much more dynamic environment than the work I was doing before, and every day looks different. So that's what we're going to cover today. As we go through this list, they'll become increasingly more difficult, yet more valuable. So let's get into the top 3 side hustles you can start to learn about business in your 20s. Side hustle number 1, and this is one I've made thousands of dollars on in my 20s, and it's one that anyone can start with a tiny bit of money, is reselling. So this means you purchase a product that's undervalued or could use some work, and then you turn around, maybe fix it up and sell it somewhere else for a profit. There's such a wide variety of ways you can make money here and products you can sell. You learn negotiation, pricing psychology, customer service, how to control your emotions with money. And I've been doing this for a little while. So when I was younger, I was really into NFL, NBA, sports cards. And then during COVID, there was a kind of a resurgence in this hobby. And I noticed on eBay and in thrift stores and in-person card shows, cards were misplaced all the time in value. And the difference between me at 24 and me at 10 was I had money now and I could invest stuff. So I had a few cards that I had lots of knowledge on, mostly vintage NFL and NBA cards, and I would scroll eBay. I'd go to Goodwill. I would go to trade shows and I'd look for deals. I'd buy, I'd negotiate, I'd make offers, and then turn around and sell them on eBay or somewhere else. I even had a card booth with my friends in Wisconsin where we would showcase our cards, we'd make deals on our collection, buy and sell cards live in a fast-moving environment, and it was fun. I did take a lot of risk here, like I bought some higher value 4-figure cards, and I had a couple of great flips for thousands of dollars on some LeBron cards, Aaron Rodgers, Bart Starr, all these legends that I knew a lot about. Through this process, you learn many things. Number 1, you learn how to spot a deal. Like when something is mispriced, this is a huge opportunity. It also applies to houses, cars, and more. What gives something value? How can a few fixes give it more value? Is it potentially mispriced, and why? You also learn how to negotiate and sell. You want to get the absolute lowest price possible when you buy, and obviously get the highest price possible when you sell. I would watch Rick Harrison's pawn shop before these shows and just study his tactics, basically. Now, learning about negotiation was scary for me, especially in-person negotiation, because we're talking about thousands of dollars of my own money on the line here. And some people can be nice, some people are hostile, some are pushy, and it's really an in-the-moment education on dealing with people. Also, dealing with angry customers happens too. I'd often have people who got the product, but they weren't happy, and you have to talk with them, maybe give them a refund, and just trust that they're being truthful. I actually have a story about this. I remember I sold a card once on eBay. It might have been like $40. And I know for a fact I packaged it well. I always do. And then somebody reached out to me on eBay saying like the card arrived and it was in bad condition. It's not what I ordered. And then he asked for a refund. And I was disappointed. I figured that something happened to it while it was in transit. I gave him a refund and asked him to just send it back. And when it got back to me, it was completely mangled. The card had some different marks that were not on there before that would have almost been impossible. It was a completely different card, I'm convinced. And then that pissed me off so much. But I was like, is it worth starting a huge dispute with this guy over, $40? Probably not. Like, just take the L and move on. Stuff like that's going to happen. You just got to hope it doesn't happen on higher ticket items. That's why something like this was risky. You also have to be a salesman because you need to have a balance between hyping up your product and getting the max amount you can, as well as being realistic, being reasonable, and cutting deals where necessary. This type of side hustle will teach you about money management as well and being disciplined, because often when you decide on a product and you buy them, you're not going to see that money for months or even years. Reselling really does train you to be specific and strategic and long-term with your money. There are also some things to keep in mind for this side hustle and some mistakes that I might have made as well. The money investment up front can be bigger, it can be smaller, but obviously to get better profits, you're going to need to put more money in. So that was where it can be risky, right? Because you shouldn't be buying stuff, again, without a safety cushion, because it's likely you're not going to see that money for a while. The things to keep in mind for higher demand items as well is that you normally have to buy things at a slight premium and then sell at a slight discount just to keep things moving. And cash is king here. It often helps you to get better deals when you're buying as well. You need to know you're getting a good deal when you're buying things, or be willing to wait for a long time to wait for the price to go up or down. If you can't get a good deal, don't be emotional. Be willing to walk away. Never buy or sell based on just emotion alone. And mistakes here are normal as well. You're going to make plenty of mistakes, plenty of bad decisions. That's just part of the process. The next side hustle, and this is something that you know very well, I've been doing, and I've made tens of thousands off it at this point, and it's gotten me better at public speaking, storytelling, conversation, understanding human attention. It's free to start. This is, of course, content creation. This could be starting a YouTube, an Instagram, a TikTok, and building your online presence either for yourself or your business, and this will give you many, many opportunities for the future. I built an audience making content on Instagram before and now on YouTube, and it's been one of the best decisions and honestly one of the most fun things I've ever done. Outside of the monetary aspect, it's helped me get better at public speaking, practicing my voice inflections, understanding how to be interesting when speaking, which is just a life skill to be liked in your real life. Like, everyone wants to be that guy who's interesting to talk to. We've all met people who tell captivating stories, and I've always wanted to be one of those guys. You don't get there without practice and continual storytelling. Through YouTube, I've also collaborated with many people. I've been interviewed, I've done live streams, and you can't plan for that at all. You can't have a script. So I just naturally got better at public speaking. So I highly recommend that as part of this journey. It's also opened up so many opportunities because I've met so many amazing people that are creating things, a lot of software engineers, business owners, and this is a really cool community that we've stumbled upon. And outside of all this stuff, I'm making the long-term investment because there are so many monetization opportunities here as well. There's AdSense, sponsorships, selling products, and more. So you're telling me that this is something that improves your network, improves your public speaking, and makes money if you do it right? I mean, sign me up. I regret not taking this seriously sooner. It doesn't even have to be your voice. It could be some other type of content where you learn editing, video creation, and more. There's just so many directions you can take it. I'm just going to put a quick plug here. If you're serious about starting a channel, you've hit a wall on your current channel, book a one-on-one consult with me. I went from 0 to 34K subs and got hundreds of thousands of views monthly in under 9 months. I'll help you figure out your niche, your content strategy, your growth game plan, and share the mistakes I made so that you don't have to. I've helped a ton of creators already. If you're ready to stop guessing and start growing, the link's in my description. Some things to keep in mind with content is that you have to pick something you enjoy talking about and doing, because there will be a period of time where you are not being paid at all. This could be 1 month, could be 1 year, could be more than 1 year. You don't know when your moment's going to be. Ideally, the content also has to be something you have experience in. If you're talking about business, but you really don't have any business experience, people are going to catch on to that. So that's not the way to go. Once you get your topic down, then I'd say consistency is probably the biggest key. Making a little bit of videos, like 1 to 2 a week, improving each time, improving your voice, improving the packaging and your edits. And eventually you're going to get your break as long as you stay consistent. People will make a couple uploads and then they quit too early. And then here's another thing to consider. Let's say you do have your viral moment and those come and go. It's a skill to keep going even after that moment. So there's lots of stuff to learn here with content creation. So side hustle 3, and this is probably the hardest one on the list, but also the most rewarding, the highest leverage one. I'm talking about actually building something from scratch and offering it to the world. It could be a software tool, a coaching service, a handcrafted product, or even some sort of digital download. You could take the knowledge you have and experience from your 9 to 5 and make an offering and sell it on the side. Format doesn't matter. What matters is that you go from an idea, execute, and then sell it. That's the full cycle of business. And this could almost be split into 2 categories, one for the building, one for the selling and distribution. So the building part was actually something the 9 to 5 taught me very well. I was always, coding, building projects, collaborating with other people from scratch to delivery. And then outside of that, I did build and sell another product in my early 20s, merchandise and children's books off of a high traffic Instagram. So when you're taking on a project like this, you're suddenly asking questions like, who's the target user? What problem does this solve? How are people going to find it? Where are you going to find customers? What should I charge? What happens if someone's upset or confused? And it forces you to think like a founder, not just an employee, and it stretches parts of your brain that your job never touched, from user experience to pricing psychology to even customer support. And you're going to learn a lot of key skills doing this. Creative thinking, right? You're solving problems with limited tools, and building kind of teaches you how messy ideas become reality. And then selling teaches you how to convince others it's worth paying for. You're going to learn how to collaborate better, whether that's with contractors, clients, or early testers. That's very important, how to work with people. You're going to learn how to position your product, how to market and sell it properly. You're going to have to learn how to present it to the world or demo it or explain what you built in a way that excites people, gets their emotions going, and eventually makes them want to buy it. And then once you do sell, you got to be able to handle current customers, handling their confusion or negative feedback, and constantly getting better. I'd call this one the ultimate crash course in entrepreneurship. Every success and failure here has taught me a lot along the way. When my book business failed, I learned how to gain an audience. I learned how to build a website that accepts digital payments. I learned how to sell things better and more. Here's some things to keep in mind for this one. You want to test the idea before you build it. So don't spend 3 months creating something that nobody wants. You have to know some level of demand is there. If you have a software product you're building, send out surveys, talk to people, get a feel for their problems. For example, with my consult calls, the demand was people messaging me that they wanted to speak with me, and I couldn't just take calls with everyone. So I put an offer out there, and it worked. Don't just make an offer out of something you're unsure of. Make sure it actually solves a problem. Another thing to keep in mind is, do you have some way to distribute the product? You could have the best product in the world, but if you don't have a way to get it in front of people, you aren't going to get very far. Sometimes maybe building an audience is the best way to go. But if you don't have an audience yet, can you borrow someone else's? Can you partner with someone? You could even run ads. You can list it on a marketplace. You could even do word of mouth or door to door. And there's still many successful businesses that operate using this method if you know the right people. You also have to be willing to swing and a miss. Sometimes you're just going to fail. Your first version's probably not going to hit, and that's okay, because the learning compounds, and most successful guys have 5 to 10 failures under their belt first. If you want to be free someday, not just rich, but really in control of your life, this is probably the side hustle that'll build the muscles for it. So you don't need to start all 3. Just pick one that maybe scares you the most. And that's probably the one that'll grow you the fastest. There are tons of other great side hustle ideas out there, but these are the 3 that I actually did. And they taught me more about business than any job or class ever did. So at the end of the day, the goal isn't just to make money, it's to build skills that compound. It's to negotiate, learn sales, learn creative problem solving. The ability to create something out of nothing, if you just master something like that in your 20s, the upside in your 30s is massive. So let me know in the comments what side hustles are you going to try, or ones that taught you a lesson that you didn't expect. I'd love to hear what you're up to. Thanks for watching. Keep learning, keep building, and I'll see you in the next one.